Dr. Corsi, I'm in a remote location today, and we're going to hopefully have sufficient internet bandwidth to keep the show going. How are you, Doctor?
I'm good, doing fine.
Good to see you.
Trying to survive the Democrat impeachment hearings, and
Absolutely.
it is definitely a bore-a-thon. Uh, I hear you. I mean, I hear the background. It sounds like a river running through,
Yeah,
but I'm
you know,
sure there's nothing you can do about it.
I'm in this small, pretty hot hotel room, and that's the fan from the computer that I'm sitting even closer to than usual. I think people who have been watching us lately are aware that we've been broadcasting in full HD, and I've been using this new 32-bit audio pipeline to suppress all of this noise, but unfortunately, here in the hotel, it's hard to do. You know, Doctor, I have some pretty shocking and annoying news for you. We've spoken quite a lot about how social engineers have attacked me on Crowdsource the Truth. They've attacked you. There is a incredibly aggressive targeted attack against the Crowdsource the Truth main YouTube channel. The 89,000 subscriber channel has been struck by a malicious social engineering attack. There are 3 strikes on it now, but YouTube has somehow changed their policy where the channel is not yet deleted. Clearly, that's the goal of these social engineers, to completely wipe Crowdsource the Truth off of the internet. Right now, I'm not even able to upload videos to Crowdsource the Truth to the Jason Goodman channel, so people are watching us on Crowdsource the Truth 2 and also on the Jerome Corsi YouTube channel. So thank you for facilitating this simulcast on your channel.
So you mean but that's done by YouTube, within YouTube. You mean it's not social engineers from outside, it's YouTube social engineers that want you off.
It's a
Isn't that right?
combination of things, Dr. Corsi. Now, wait a minute. It seems, we have a little timing error on the simulcast on the Jerome Corsi channel.
Okay.
It's got that set to start in half an hour. What happened is this, Dr. Corsi. Put out some videos. I don't want to go into too much detail about this because, of course, we have very important things to discuss today, and we're going to be starting our sponsor-only broadcast on patreon.com/Jerome Corsi, patreon.com/Crowdsource the Truth, and both of our Subscribe-Star channels in just under 30 minutes. But just to give everybody a brief overview, because it is important, what happens is these social engineers, they've been on YouTube for 10 years or more, and just like a video gamer learns the ins and outs of a video game, where the hidden cheat codes might be, where the extra big guns and special cars are hidden around the virtual city, these social engineers, they learn how to gamify YouTube, and they might even be using tools to identify certain phrases or words that you're saying. We've heard from Patrick Berge and others about how Barack Obama's national security advisor, Jim Jones, used the intellectual property from the shadow net that was created using American taxpayer money to monitor social media in theater in Iraq and Afghanistan. Mr. Jones now owns that intellectual property and has used it to create a company called ClearForce. And I'm not saying that that's what's behind this, but it's an example of the numerous social engineering tools that exist that can be used to target users like yourself, Doctor, or me, or anybody else who these social engineers want to suppress. And then they alert YouTube and put in strikes and put in complaints. And if they're complaining about every video I have on there, eventually they hit.
So are we broadcasting now on the My Corsi Nation,
Well,
Jerome Corsi on YouTube?
It's been set to begin at 5 p.m., it looks like. And so it won't start for another 30 minutes. We must have made an error. I apologize, Doctor. But we'll be on Patreon at 5 p.m. so people can watch that. And then you and I can take some time to address this, and the video will be up on the Corsi Nation YouTube channel after we're done. Right now, we've got viewers with us on Crowdsource the Truth too. So I hope that people will share this video and let everybody know that the Jason Goodman channel, the main home for Crowdsource the Truth, has been incapacitated completely and is in danger of being wiped off the internet permanently. I'm working on trying to provide some details and facts to remove these strikes, but it's very difficult to deal with YouTube, much like the president is facing in this Democrat Bore-a-thon, no crime, sham impeachment process. There really isn't any due process on YouTube, so these social engineers can accuse me of all kinds of things, and in the court of YouTube opinion, I'm sort of guilty before I'm even given an opportunity to face my accusers.
Well, it's been part of the problem we've been suffering as, conservatives and Christians. The tech giants that control the internet want us gone, and they are not tolerant of the First Amendment or free speech. They are not interested in free speech. They want to essentially have their ideological agenda get into power. And that's, I think, one of the anti-democratic or certainly First Amendment types of approaches, the social media, which ultimately, I think, require regulatory control, unfortunately, over the tech giants, are being broken up. And, they're counting on their ability to manipulate elections and to control the outcome of the 2020 election by how they, I guess in part, I have to, are you there, Jason?
Yes, I'm here, Doctor. I'm listening.
I think we lost you for a minute. I think it sounded like I lost you for a minute.
Sorry about that.
I think I'm part of, responsible for this, going back to Unfit for Command, which I co-authored with John O'Neill in 2004 against John Kerry. They see how effective we've been as conservatives, and they want to block us and censor us. Yeah. It really amounts to that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Doctor. And, I think what's happening right now is that as we approach the 2020 election, anyone who's pro-Trump, anyone who is having a platform and having a voice that's putting out a message that just is in favor of freedom and justice and the truth is being attacked by some form of social engineering. Depending on who you are, in your case, Dr. Corsi, you were attacked last year by Robert Mueller. I think that was a huge social engineering attack that spilled over into the mainstream media, smearing you in the Washington Post and on CNN. And that guy, Ari Melber, started his interview with you with the ridiculous statement that Robert Mueller doesn't leak. It's like, what? He's totally trying to program his audience with nonsense in front of your interview rather than allowing the truth to be spoken about.
Well, I'm seeing the same thing going on with the Mueller hearings. If you take a look at the MSNBC and the CNN pundits, they're all saying that the Schiff-Nadler presentation of the impeachment articles is brilliant and dazzling, and they're using all these terms. The truth is, I think, it's mind-numbingly boring. I mean, the senators, the reports have been, and there are actually cartoons coming out of the Senate and drawings from people in the gallery, professional artists who cover trials, that are showing the senators falling asleep, reading other materials. I mean, they're doing,
wow. They
can't have cell phones, they can't have coffee, they have to just sit there. And the boredom and I guess Dianne Feinstein just got up and left yesterday at about 8:30 in the evening.
Wow.
And now there's calls from various people to say essentially that that she should be immediately herself impeached or removed. I mean,
wow.
I guess Chris Hayes and Rachel Maddow have called on her to resign over leaving early. And, basically the Schiff-led Democrats are leading a bored army here. I can send you one of the links here. You can pick up one of the drawings. This is on Gateway Pundit. I mean, I've listened to them. The astounding things to me, I mean, essentially also recognizing that, Nadler made the absolutely ridiculous mistake of starting out his comments by basically saying that the jurors, the senators, were a cover-up. Now, he comes in and insults the jurors, and that's, Eddie, there you go. I sent you the picture. You can put that up. There's the people falling asleep. And but you've got how do you come in and you begin a trial by insulting the jurors? Well, he was reprimanded by Chief Justice Roberts from the presiding chair in the Senate, who said, that we need some decorum here. And he cited a 1905 case in which the word pettifogging was used in a trial to impeach a federal judge in 1905. And of course, that judge was acquitted in the impeachment trial. And I wondered if Roberts in part picked that because it was an acquittal, the case that he cited. It was pretty funny when you take a look at the reprimand. It was a case of the Judge Swain impeachment trial in 1905, and it resulted in an acquittal for Judge Swain. At any rate, what you're seeing is that Nadler and Schiff are presenting their original arguments. For instance, we've gone back to Russia collusion. Trump is working with Russia to steal the 2020 election with Ukraine, and they're damaging. They're not sending the military assistance needed by Ukraine because Trump supports Putin. All these arguments, if you take the Democrats' arguments that they're making on the floor, they fall into a couple of categories. One, they're quoting witnesses like Ambassador Sondheim, taking bits and pieces without taking the questions Sondheim was asked by the GOP, in which he said there wasn't any quid pro quo. There was no, that's the Judge Swain case there, and the Judge Swain case was a acquittal. I'll send you the summary of the case from some of the articles of the day. You can take a look at this.
Wow.
Here, I'll send you the link to that.
Talk about the video game NBA 2K. That's interesting. I didn't know anything about this trial over the video game. A lot of weird things in court there, Dr. Corsi. But sorry, you were telling us about Ambassador Sondland.
Yeah, so basically, I sent you some of the things on the Swain trial. The Ambassador Sondland made statements that sounded like they supported Schiff's argument of a quid pro quo, but then when he was questioned by the GOP, he said no, there was no quid pro quo over the denial of aid. It was on having a meeting with President Trump, and of course the meeting occurred not in the Oval Office but at the UN, and there was never any investigation begun in Ukraine on Burisma. Yeah. So Zelensky wasn't pressured to begin an investigation by the withholding of aid. And also, Zelensky says he didn't even know the aid had been withheld. It was only withheld for a short period of time, which was within the window to grant the aid. And so, again, the Democrats are presenting the case as they wanted it to be.
Right.
But even their articles of impeachment don't reflect the arguments they're making on the floor of the Senate. So I think one of the first refutations of the president's attorneys when they get their chance is going to be that the Democrats reverted to their initial arguments that they couldn't prove in the House Intelligence Committee or the House Judiciary impeachment hearings, and they couldn't get passed on the floor of the House in the articles of impeachment, which don't include these charges. So if you couldn't even convince the House of Representatives to include these assertions of, Trump was trying to benefit his election and he was going to withhold the aid, it's all the old stuff regurgitated. And Schiff and Nadler couldn't get it through the House. Now they're trying to pretend to the Senate that it's in the articles, and it's not. So I think it's a losing game.
Yeah.
And it's boring. It's just fundamentally boring.
Right.
I mean, first of all, the optics of Schiff and Nadler are terrible. I mean, you've got, basically Jabba the Hutt, and Nadler, and I don't know what the best description of Schiff is, but that bug-eyed and the penciled neck. He looks like and he's got triple bags under his eyes. He looks like he hasn't slept for a month.
Well, isn't
I mean,
it true,
it's just
Dr. Corsi, that Adam Schiff is seeing this as his moment to shine? I mean, obviously, he's a pretty young guy. He's got designs on a big career in the future, that probably as a senator next, I would presume. And for lunatic lefties, they think Adam Schiff is a genius, and he's doing a great job.
Well, I mean, look, I'm sure that Schiff is a star in his own mind. I have no doubt about that, and I'm sure Ed Buck would agree.
Right.
His donor friend who's in jail for these sex and drug parties with these young black men, one of whom died and another
Two.
escaped and went to the police. Two died.
Yeah,
Died. Well,
and one escaped.
and one escaped. And Schiff has gone to any number of the parties. There we go, Ed Buck. So I mean, this is the West Hollywood district that Schiff is from, and this whole notion that this is America. Schiff is no John Kennedy, I'll tell you, on television. The charisma isn't there, and Nadler. I mean, these guys have got negative charisma. I mean, and you put them in front of the Senate, where the senators are forced to sit there and listen. They can't go off to Iowa and campaign. So I guess here's another a Democratic establishment hit against Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders, because Buttigieg and all the others are up there in New Hampshire, and they've got an open field. And here they are back in the Senate as presidential candidates, Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, and they're forced to listen to Schiff drone on and on and on. And there's no chance they're going to get 20 GOP senators to vote for removal of office. So this whole thing is a non-starter.
What'd you think about this, Dr.
to
Corsi? Someone seems to have captured Lindsey Graham complimenting Adam Schiff after the impeachment trial, saying, very well spoken. Oy, we've got 666 comments on this article.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay. So, they in the Senate and the House, they're supposed to be collegial with each other. They're not supposed to hate each other. They're the traditional parliamentary niceties of the U.S. Congress are not like Great Britain, where they call each other all kinds of names and they, basically act out on each other. And this is not like it's more like a club where everybody's supposed to act polite and be gentlemanly and ladylike, and they're not supposed to be poking their fingers in each other's eyes.
But doesn't this go beyond that, Doctor, for Lindsey Graham to make a special point of congratulating Adam Schiff and shaking his hand after this? I mean, he could have just politely ignored him.
And then you've just got another issue. I mean, this way, it's polite. It doesn't mean anything. Adam Schiff is not going to get Lindsey Graham's vote, and Lindsey Graham is going to be there saying we don't need any witnesses. If these articles, I think right out of the box, the president's attorney is going to make a couple of arguments. Number one, they're going to say that the vote in the House to bring in to do an impeachment inquiry was not procedurally correct. So the kind of legal basis for the entire impeachment presentation in the Senate is lacking. So they're going to challenge what the Democrats have done on procedural grounds, and that'll be number one. Number two, I think they're going to say that there is, even if everything the Democrats have said were true, they're not grounds for removal from office because the aid was given. I don't think they're going to try to build a case that everything the president did was right. I mean, again, it's the Democrats' job to make their case of, reasonable, whatever the standard is. It's not even it's not reasonable cause or probable cause or, it's just, they're not even making a political argument.
Yeah.
And so I don't think more witnesses mean that the Democrats have not yet made their case, and they just want more witnesses. And then you've got, Maxine Waters coming out and saying, if this fails, we'll keep looking. What the Democrats have done is just completely backwards. Usually you've got a crime, there's a murder, you got a body.
Let me stop you there, Doctor, because we'll go into some detail, actually extensive detail, on just that in about 10 minutes when we resume on patreon.com/Jerome Corsi and patreon.com/Crowdsource the Truth. People can also watch on Subscribestar. You've got a Subscribestar page there, and we'll be back in just 10 minutes to go into detail on this Bore-a-thon impeachment sham in the Senate. I'll see you there, Dr. Corsi, and thanks everybody for watching.
Look forward to it. Thank you.